Hello, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our latest webinar from School IP about recording appraisal evidence. First thing to tell you is that we are recording. The recording will be sent to all attendees of the webinar and also anybody who expressed interest as well. We'll make sure that we get an email over to you. Also, we store our webinars on the website on www.deventioeducation.com/webinars. And you may find as well on the website that there's lots of other useful resources on there, including case studies and a whole load of useful insights as well. So if you want to check out the website and see some of our content on there. Firstly, then, in terms of introductions, my name is Damien Roberts. I'm one of the directors and co-founders at a company called Deventio Education. We're based in Derby in the UK. And we're responsible then for designing and developing School IP. School IP is currently used by over 700 schools and colleges, predominantly in the UK, but again, across the whole world in terms of supporting British international schools and other organisations. These are my details, how you can get hold of me in terms of phone, email, etc. And we're also on social media as well. So please do join the conversation there. Now, we're also trying to boost some of our channels. We put out a lot of information on school improvement, on staff appraisals, development planning, etc. And we put those out onto our social media channels. So here I've highlighted a few of those where we're based on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. We would really love it if you could go along to our pages on LinkedIn, Twitter, and follow us there. So I've put up some QR codes so that you can very quickly and easily navigate to those pages and then do follow us on those platforms. Now, there's a split of the audience really in terms of those that perhaps haven't seen School IP before, maybe returning customers who are interested in how we can record evidence of appraisals inside School IP. So if you're not using School IP, this message is for you. We'd welcome the opportunity to provide you with a brief online demonstration. You can either go to the URL there that's on screen. Later, I'll show you a QR code as well. To make that a little bit simpler in terms of engaging with us for a brief online demo. Demos tend to take about 10-15 minutes of your time. And it's worth highlighting as well, we're having a big push with Multi-Academy Trust. This School IP software is actually free to the central team. So if you're in a Multi-Academy Trust and you would like to give School IP a go and try it out with your central team, we would be very pleased to support you. So please do go along to that URL, book yourself a demonstration, and we will continue those discussions with you. We're also on the road. We are attending the Schools and Academies show next month at the NEC in Birmingham on the 17th of November. So again, if you'd like to visit us there, if you're attending the show, we're on stand A37. So we'd be delighted if you came along to the stand to see us. We'll actually be showcasing one of our new developments there, which is the latest School IP dashboards. And as always, if you're not able to attend the event, like I said just previously, you can book an online demonstration. And there is the QR code at the bottom right of the screen. So please do scan that now and book in your demonstration. So this webinar is a live demonstration in terms of how to record your evidence of appraisal inside School IP. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch from this presentation over to the live School IP software. So here I am. I'm logged in as a fictitious leader at a school. And as such, then I gain access to the School IP system, which is staff appraisals linked to continual professional development, school development planning and self-evaluation. But also more recently, we've launched things like policy management and school-wide audits as well. So even if you've seen School IP before, it's well worth taking another look with us via those online demonstrations. There's lots of things that are happening and lots to get your teeth stuck into. Okay. So in terms of recording appraisal evidence, inside School IP, we can set up for each staff member their reviews. So we start a review with those staff members. We set them a number of objectives, which can be strategic in nature. They can be linked to your development plans and to your overall school priorities. We're also monitoring the progress of our staff. So things like for teachers, we're looking at lesson observations, learning walks, work scrutiny, but also we conduct other style of monitoring for support staff. And so it's worth noting that this is not just for teachers, this is for all staff across the school. And we're able to monitor things like staff well-being, as an example. And then also we're making sure that staff are adhering to the latest standards. So whether they be the teaching standards, teaching assistants, etc. And also we have a code of conduct for support staff. So again, all staff should be engaging with some of these different facets of appraisal and professional development. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick on Jessica, and I'm going to navigate now to the portfolio. So this is a screen for the staff member to be engaging in their dialogue, professional dialogue with their line manager about the sorts of things that are ongoing within the classroom and the sorts of evidence that they want to present to the line manager. So we are capturing a number of different types of information on the left-hand side. So this is all contributing to our appraisal evidence. So firstly in here, we have the activity feed, and this enables us to be blogging about our experiences. So we're all used to using things like social media, posting entries little and often in terms of engaging with our line manager and illustrating that we are meeting the latest objectives and the standards. So you can be posting little and often here at the top about your experiences and posting those entries to your activity feed. You can also be dragging and dropping files in here as well. So files, photographs, videos, anything that you think is important in terms of illustrating to your line manager that you are meeting those targets. Now, it's worth noting that when you're blogging or when you are uploading evidence and information in here, an email notification is sent to your line manager. Your line manager is kept updated on everything that's happening within your review. So that's the beauty of School IP, is that it brings these conversations together. It has a joined up nature to those conversations, but also key personnel are actually identified and notified of those changes. So if I were in charge of a team of staff within the school, as many curriculum leaders are, you're able to manage your team effectively, and you're getting those notifications as and when they're making changes to the School IP portfolio. Now, you can either use this web-based software, which couldn't be simpler really in terms of blogging about your experiences, dragging and dropping your files in here, but also we're quite unique in this sector in that we're the only ones with a mobile app. Now, our mobile app is freely available on both the Apple and Android platforms. You can download this onto your phones or tablets. And then this is by far the simplest way to interact with School IP and actually gather that evidence. All staff have phones and tablets these days. So you can download this onto your Apple and Android phones and tablets, and you can be then blogging about your experiences using the pencil there. And also, you can use the camera on the device. So quite useful in terms of capturing photographs of students' work, marking, assessment, whatever is happening within the classrooms, you can be capturing that evidence and uploading that as part of your evidence. So by far the simplest way to interact with the system is to download the mobile app and then to be taking photographs of certificates, etc., and other evidence that you want to contribute to your portfolio. So that's our mobile app and using that to actually gather the evidence. So then the evidence, as I scroll down, you'll see the conversations back and forth between Jessica and her line manager throughout the year and other key stakeholders. So we can actually involve other collaborators in here, so mentors, other staff that are helping us achieve our targets. And again, it's trapping and capturing that sort of conversation throughout the whole year and the whole school in terms of the identified key personnel. Now, As you can imagine, that evidence there, the activity feed, can be quite a long list of information. So what we want to do is we want to filter the data. So using the filter at the top, we can filter this down to either one of the standards, or it's multiple selections, so I can choose objectives or any monitoring events. But this helps us to select the standard that we're interested in, and then it will filter the evidence and the conversations just down to that particular area. So again, this is helping you have those more targeted conversations. And again, I can click the X and this will return us back to the full listing there. As I go down then, the labels on the left-hand side, we can see a number of objectives that have been set for our staff. So as we're identifying these objectives, which may be strategic in nature, so these objectives can be linked to our whole school priorities. They could also be linked to any of our school development plan objectives. And then finally, they could be identified as a personal target as well, where you simply type in what it is that you hope to achieve. So you can record your objectives within the system. And if you need to, you can break these down into a number of smaller actions so that we can show progress towards completing those objectives. And then obviously when you are contributing to your activity feed in terms of the blogging and the uploading of evidence, you can link that evidence to any of your objectives. So again, we can filter down the conversation just to those key areas. And it's worth noting you can have as many objectives as you deem necessary. And indeed, schools can set up templated reviews. So what would the typical objectives look like for your teaching staff, teaching assistants, leaders, middle leaders, and indeed the support staff? Let's not forget, this is for everybody within the school. We are then capturing any monitoring events. So in terms of teaching, we're looking at things like lesson observations, learning walks, work scrutiny, and you can devise your own forms to capture this information. Now, we allow you to import your forms into the system, or there is a bank of templates that you can use straight out of the box, and you can, again, change those for your own needs. So this is an example lesson observation form. So in here, you can open this up on your tablet or a laptop at the back of the class, and then you can be observing what's going on within the school. So in here, I'm looking at pupil progress, and I'm making a decision as to whether I believe the practice that I'm observing is transformational, embedded, or developing. And then I'm recording my comments on the right-hand side to say, why did I choose developing in that particular area? So on these forms, you can actually set up the questions, the judgments, the gradings, the guidance. They would become your forms, your criteria, your guidance, and indeed the colors as well. You can set up the color schemes, and then that will enable you to capture those observations effectively. And in here, then at the bottom, you have some free text areas where we may be identifying any comments. We might record any areas that we felt needed development as part of this observation. And then you're able to grade as an outcome for this monitoring event. Now, don't worry, if you don't grade, you can turn those off. You can get rid of those gradings and hide them from the screen. But also, you can change the gradings that are used. So if you're happy using the Ofsted criteria, we could change this to that 4-point scale of outstanding, good, requires improvement, etc. So the monitoring really does fit in with your requirements. And again, not just for teachers, we are looking at staff well-being, we're looking at other monitoring forms that may be performed within the school. And then in terms of the standards, we're setting standards or competencies for our staff. So here I'm using the teaching standards for Jessica. Jessica is able to rate herself against the standards, and then the line manager is able to provide their own judgment. And then we plot those side by side onto a radar diagram. And then we can kickstart some of the conversations that we may have around development against the standards or competencies. So again, out of the box, we have the teaching standards, teaching assistants, head teacher standards, but also we allow you to record maybe a code of conduct for support staff, so that all staff within the school should be adhering to some sort of standards. And an example of this would be, again, the catering staff within the school. They may be adhering to the health and safety standards. Throughout this process then of working towards our objectives, the monitoring, and then trying to achieve those standards, we may identify any areas that we feel need development. So we can identify those areas. They may have come from a recent observation, but also then we can identify what sort of action as the line manager we would propose to take. So do we think they should go on a course? Is there some sort of internal training or support that could be offered? And then staff manage and have sight of their own CPD portfolio, their continual professional development portfolio. So this is really useful. This is a way of centralizing all of your activities. So we can centrally allocate a course to staff within the school. And we're looking then for the staff member to tell us what was the impact and the feedback of that training. Was it worthwhile? Would they recommend it to others? Give it a star rating as well, so visually we can see how well that was received. And staff can also record their own activities. So maybe a staff member is doing some research into a particular aspect of teaching, or they're visiting a neighbouring school. They can be reporting back and adding to their CPD portfolio. And in here as well, it's worth noting, you also have the ability to request to go on a course. So Jessica here would like to attend a course that's going to cost £195. We would detail all of the information there about the course, the dates and times of that particular training, and maybe there's cover that's required to support that event. And then we ask them to link this to an aspect of their performance management. So does it relate to your objectives? Does it relate to the standards? And how will it help you to achieve your own personal targets or those of your department or faculty? And then these requests can go through our approval workflow so that we can have the line manager, a CPD coordinator, the cover supervisor. You can define the chain of approval, and there is an email sent to each staff member within that chain in order to gain their approval for that particular course. So really useful for recording your CPD activities and courses inside and alongside your portfolio of evidence. So School IP really is keeping everything centrally aligned and together all in one place. At the end of the cycle, you can imagine sort of September, October, it's this time of year really that we're sitting down, we are reviewing all of the conversations and evidence that has been uploaded. And then we can simply close the review. We can decide whether they have met, not met their targets. And we can have those difficult conversations perhaps around pay progression, whether we're recommending or deferring, recording our reasons why. So you can actually close down the review. You can provide a final review statement and an outcome. And then we're both required to input our passwords. And then we may close down the review for this year. But this evidence that we've been gathering all year then is kept indefinitely within the system so that we have previous reviews here where I can go back and look at Jessica's previous evidence. And also, you may have different types of reviews. So you might have things like probationary periods, and also this may be used for things like capability as well, where we pause the current cycle and then we take a sideward step onto our action plan in terms of capability. And once that is satisfied, we then move back onto our performance management portfolio. So the real power of School IP then comes in terms of the reporting, the dashboard displays, because School IP really does then bring all of that information together, saves valuable time for leaders within the school. In terms of our monitoring here, I'm looking at what has been the outcome of our observations. We can be filtering the data using a whole bank of filters here at the top, so I can filter down by department, by different types of forms that we use, and getting hold of the data that we need at the particular time that we need it. And then it's worth noting that any of these reports, you can export those out as well to Excel, to Word, to PDF, and also you may choose the columns of data and anonymize that data. So I can give this to governors, to external stakeholders without perhaps disclosing the names of the staff. And there are lots of these dashboard displays. So things like staff objectives, who is meeting, not meeting their targets, so that we can identify what sort of intervention is being put in place and how we are supporting those staff. And then also, are they achieving the latest standards? So we have a huge wheel of our competencies here, and we can filter this down to teachers or to different types of staff member, and actually identify what are the strengths and weaknesses within the school. And then in terms of CPD, we can it's really useful for identifying what are the common themes for development across the whole school. You can filter these by a common theme or focus that you devise from the outset. So we may look at where the emphasis is on teaching as an example. And then we can centrally allocate courses and activities to staff in one go. And then really useful, we can see the outcome of every CPD activity and course that we've run, hopefully receiving that impact and feedback of any training. So this is really useful to report back to governors on attendance on the training, the impact and feedback, and of course, the spend in terms of the cost as well. So we can see what's the total spend on our courses and activities during this cycle and what has been the impact of any training that was received. So that's it in terms of the appraisal process within School IP, recording your evidence centrally within School IP. If you would like to have a full demonstration in terms of the software, what we would do is we would arrange a demonstration at a date and time to suit you, and we'd be able to provide you then with a quote for your school. We can set up things like free trials so we can make sure that you're comfortable with your purchasing decision. But that's all done through that brief online demonstration, which we can set up using the URL here at the bottom. You can book a demo now in my calendar, but also you can scan the QR code here, which will take you through to the calendar as well, so you can book that in. So thank you very much for your time in terms of having a look at how the many ways really in which we can record appraisal evidence within School IP. I look forward to furthering these conversations with you, so please do go back and book a demonstration in with us so that we can discuss it in more detail. Thank you very much for your time.